Hello, I'm Shannon Stannis, the Watershed Coordinator for the Wabash River Enhancement Corporation. We're the host agency for the Wabash Sampling Blitz, and tonight we are very excited to have all of you here for our training event. If you do not already have my cell phone number in your cell phone, this is a great time to put that in. I will not have access to email the day of the event, so if anything comes up, my cell phone is the best way to get in touch with me. I also may contact you in case anything happens or I need to check in, so you know to answer if I'm in your phone. And again, I want to say thanks to everyone for signing up for this event. It's really fun. It's definitely a unique experience. And we really hope that you all feel excited for the event, and we want you to feel prepared going into it. So we're just going to have this great training session for y'all tonight. And we plan to go over, this is our agenda. Of course, with all events that we've experienced, especially in the last year, please stay home if you're sick or if you have been around anyone that is feeling sick. If you need to cancel at any time, it's no big deal. Just please send me an email, call, or text to let me know. We actually have a wait list for the event this spring. So if you cancel, somebody else can get in, but I have to know about it. And I promise I won't be upset or mad or anything. So thank you for that. If your partner signed you up for the event, so if you did not fill out the registration page, but your partner did, you should have gotten a waiver in an email. It's a Google form. You need to sign that before you can pick up your supplies on Friday or Saturday. So please remember to do that, or else I'll start sending you some more emails. And then some other things we're going to go over today are supply pickup and drop off, potential hazards. We're going to go over your clipboard paperwork, sampling instructions clarified, and test strips, water quality, and then have a question and answer session. So if at any point you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Amy is going to be watching out for questions there, and then we'll answer them at the end. And if there's anything I mess up egregiously, Amy, you can chime in and let me know so I'm not confusing folks as we go on. But the Wabash Sampling Blitz is a stream sampling event, and we are going to all of the areas, all the streams in what we call the region of the Great Bend of the Wabash River. And so that is the map on the right of your screen. You can see the watershed is outlined in black, and you can see all the streams within it. So we're actually going to sample every site where one of those streams crosses a road. And this is to explore water quality through the watershed. So watershed is all the area of land where water drains to a single point. And so we call this the Wabash Sampling Blitz, right? Because all these streams drain to the Wabash. None of you are actually going to sample the main stem of the river. That's Amy's job. But y'all are going to go out to the streams and see what water quality is like there before it reaches the river. So for supply pickup, we have two staging locations. We have the north staging location, the Lily Nature Center, which is in Celery Bog. A lot of folks are familiar with that wonderful West Lafayette Park. All Friday samplers are going to pick up their supplies at the Lily Nature Center in West Lafayette. All the Saturday samplers are going to pick up their supplies at the south staging location, which is at the Christ United Methodist Church in Lafayette. It's located at the corner of 18th Street and Veterans Memorial Parkway. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible. So if you're on Friday, you're going to the Nature Center. If you're on Saturday, you're going to the Christ United Methodist Church. And your sample group, for those that are interested, corresponds to your staging location somewhat. So all the north groups are given, the first letter of their sampling group is designated with an N. All the south groups, their first letter is designated with an S. We also have west sites that are designated with a W. We don't have a west staging location. We used to at one point in time. We don't anymore. So those west sites are divided between north or south. If you have a west site, don't be confused. Just think about the day that you're sampling. If you're Friday, going to the north, Saturday, going to the south. And then if you get confused, you can always email me for clarification. And then each of you are sampling unique streams. So no one is going to go to the same streams during the event that you are going to visit. And that's why you have a unique sample group code as well as unique sampling sites that you're going to visit. So the north staging location is at the back of Celery Bog by the Lily Nature Center, and your supplies are going to be set out by your sampling group that I emailed out to you. And then that's that 2-letter code, the first letter being an N, S, or W, and then the second being a unique letter for your group. And there's going to be, so there's, if you can see this, each of your group's supplies are going to have this sign to indicate, that this is your sampling group. And there's a reminder on here to please pick up an ice pack from the labeled cooler and put it into your blue bag. Your blue bags are going to look like this. So when you pick up your supplies, at either location, there'll be a blue bag, this sign, waiters if you requested them, and a large transparency tube. And then, like I said, so make sure you grab an ice pack and just stick it inside your blue bag, and that'll help keep your samples cool while you are out for the day. And I've indicated here on the map, hopefully you can see little white stars. So the supplies are either going to be out on the pavement in front of the nature center or in the grass. It'll be pretty easy to see, so just pull up. You can park right in front of the nature center, put your hazards on to come out and get your supplies. Or you can come around here, you can see my cursor, park in these parking spots and then walk over. We do ask that folks wear their masks while they're coming to pick up their supplies. If you see another group, just make sure you keep yourself spaced. I think we're all pretty good at that at this point. So you can wait while the other group finishes picking up, or go out if you feel like you can space out enough. And we will have an attendant at both locations to be there if you have questions, you forgot your sample group, we can check that for you. And the south staging location at the Christ United Methodist Church will have a very similar setup. The supplies are exactly the same, the signs are the same, and we are going to be setting out supplies on the east side of the church over here, either kind of back in the grass or where this arrow ends. So you can come through and park in this little driveway here, pick up your supplies, and then go on your way to sample. And it's also important that you're picking up your supplies here and you're also dropping them off at the same location. So please don't take all the sampling supplies home. We need those supplies and we need those samples so we can test them in the lab. So there are not that many hazards in participating in this event, but there are a couple that we want to go over. While we don't anticipate anyone stumbling on a meth lab, anytime you're out in remote areas, there is a possibility that you can encounter one. So meth labs look different than a pile of dumped trash. It's normally an odd assortment of things. It might be something like these 2-liter bottles that are filled with weird looking stuff, right? Or a dumped pile of batteries, cold medicine, drain cleaner, nail polish remover with acetone, kind of things like that. Again, that looks different than somebody just threw some trash out of their window, right? So if you see a meth lab, what I want you to do is take a picture of it, text it to me, and then let me know what site number you're at. And then just leave it alone. We will contact the right people to come clean it up. We don't want you to have to worry about this all. If it's in your way, you can feel free to skip that sampling site and just go to the next one. If it's not in your way, you still feel like you can sample the stream safely, please do that. But again, don't feel like you need to clean up that trash. Or a meth lab if you think it's a meth lab. And the next thing is that this is a stream sampling event. So these are streams out in the community. So some of them are very steep. Some of them might be more difficult to access, but you are actually going to climb into the streams. This is something we always get questions about, but that is what you've signed up to do. So they might have vegetation on the side, it might be bare, but so go into the event knowing that you're going to climb into a stream. You're not walking into a pool, right? You're not or you're not climbing into a hot tub. You're climbing into a stream. So if any of the streams are way too difficult to get into, maybe there's barbed wire in your way and you don't feel comfortable, or there's electric fence that a cattle farmer put up to keep his cattle out of the stream or something, no sample is worth compromising your safety. So if you don't feel like you can get into that stream comfortably, safely, just skip it. We have on our data sheet a place to put notes. So just write a note, you didn't feel comfortable. Tell us what was wrong with that site. Maybe it was you've got bad knees and it was too much for you, but maybe somebody else could do it. All of that information is helpful for us to know so that we either don't sample that site again, or we can send somebody with a lot more sampling experience to go about that one. It's not a big deal. Again, no sample is worth compromising your safety, so just make sure you feel comfortable, but also understand that you're going to climb into some streams and it's going to be a weird new experience for a lot of us. So Inside your blue bag is going to be a clipboard, and that clipboard is going to be your guide through the whole event. It has everything that you need to to make you successful and accomplish all of the goals. So on the clipboard, you'll have a data sheet, which we're going to go over. Each of you are going to unique sites, like I said, and so there are directions to your unique sites. Those directions also have GPS coordinates. So if you prefer to just put those coordinates into your phone or GPS unit, you can do that. Otherwise, there's turn-by-turn driving directions to your specific sites. There's also a letter to landowners. So sometimes when you're out in the blitz, a neighbor will come outside, or a farmer, if you're in a farm field, will come out and ask you what you're doing. You can hand them the letter and then just walk away. If you want to talk to them and explain what's going on, you're welcome to, but the letter says, you know, this is what we're doing, why we're doing, and who we are. And it has my phone number. So if anyone's upset, they can call me and yell at me. They don't need to bother you at all. That being said, nobody's ever encountered a mad landowner. We have had curious landowners before, and people always are still able to sample, but just sometimes folks ask what is going on. And we also know, you know, with COVID, people don't always want to talk to strangers too. So the letter is just really great. Hand the letter and then just move on. You also have a Blitz fact sheet. So that goes over all the different tests that we're doing, the parameters of water quality that we're looking for. This is awesome to read. Highly recommend you read that. Not while you're driving, but while somebody else is operating the car, they can read that to you, you know, or while you're out in the streams. Look over that fact sheet and see why these different parameters are so important and what we're testing for today. There's also instructions for sampling. So you've watched those videos that are on our website. You're super confident, you know what you're doing, right? And you get out there and you forget, oh, how do we do temperature? Or how does this transparency tube work? Well, it's on that clipboard for you, so you can reference anything. There's also the instructions for the test strips, which Amy is going to go over in a little bit, but they're also on your clipboard. The scales are there for you to use. You also get a map of all sampling locations for your staging location. I'm going to show you that in a minute. You also get an aerial map of your sites and photos of each of your sites, which I'm also going to show you pictures of just here in a second. So like I said, this clipboard is your guide. It's got everything you need. If you're worried at all, just ask your clipboard. The information is there for you. So this is what our data sheets look like. They're front and back. It is very important that you fill out the entire data sheet, particularly the names of every single person in your sampling group, the date, especially because we have 2 sampling dates, your start time, end time, and your mileage. Your time and your mileage are really important to us because those count as match on the grants that we get for this program. So your time is valued and your miles are valued, and that shows community participation as actual cash match on our grant, which helps us to get grants in the future. So if you like these water quality efforts, you want to keep seeing money come to the community, you will definitely make sure you fill out the top of your data sheet. And then down here, you're going to put your site number for each site that you visit. And again, those are unique, and that information is on your clipboard about which sites you're going to, the time at each site, your temperature that you're going to measure, transparency, and then the test strips, you make sure you enter all of this data here on your test strip, from your test strips that, again, we're going to go over in a minute. And then on the back of the data sheet, you can let us know about your site. So if you skipped a site, this is a great place to tell us why. And we love to know, you know, how deep the water was it dry? Was the stream even running? A lot of our streams can be dry, especially in the fall. You know, how steep it was, if it was really hard to get into. And then anything else that you notice while you're out in the field that you want to share with us about site access or just interesting things that you noticed, feel free to write it here in the bottom. We love your feedback. We love knowing this, and it helps make the event go smoothly for future volunteers to have your information. So this is the map that you will get. This is an example for the north staging location. So your sites will be highlighted, just like with a highlighter. So let's say your group NI, you can see from this map where all of your sites are. And it also just gives you a reference for, okay, my friends are over here at NH and my other friends are over here at ND, right? And you can really understand where everyone is going for this event. And like I said, no one is sampling the same sites. So you are So you shouldn't encounter anyone else with sampling equipment, or else something went wrong on our end. But this is just nice to see. It also gives you a reference point for where your sites are in relation to the staging location where you picked up and drop off your supplies. Next, you'll each get a picture of your unique sampling sites with a satellite view. So as I said, you are looking for your sites are where a stream crosses a road. And so using this map, you can see, like, so I'm going up to N26, we're going along, and you start to see, like, all right, now I know that my site is coming up soon. You can also, you know, say, oh, this site is across from some green space, right? Or we're in a lot of ag land over here. Gotta pay close attention for when our stream is coming up, you know, so that satellite view is just really helpful so you know what's going on with your sites. Each of you will have at least one site that you're going to sample for E. coli, in addition to the regular sampling that you do at that site. That site is going to be indicated on your clipboard in your driving directions, and it's also noted here on the map with this extra star. So at the star location, you're going to fill up a nutrient bottle and an E. coli bottle. And let me show you what those look like. So this is our labeled nutrient bottle. This isn't the exact one for the picture, but this is what they look like. And you're going to fill up one of these at every single stream that you visit. And then at your E. coli site, you're going to have another bottle that's also labeled for your specific E. coli site that you're going to fill up. Now this bottle has, you can't really see it on my screen, but it has this little white tablet in it, and that's a reagent for the E. coli test. So it's important that you don't rinse this bottle out, you know, rinse it in the stream and then dump it before you fill it up. You just want to fill it up completely and keep that little reagent in there so that the test goes smoothly. Hope that all makes sense. So the last pictures that I want to show you right now are that you will have a picture for each of your streams, or each of your stream sampling sites. So these are helpful so you kind of know what you're looking for while you're out there. As you can see, some of these streams are really low, so they might be harder to see while you're driving by, so you want to keep a lookout. If any of these pictures don't look like the site looks currently, take a new one, send it to us, send it to me, either text or email is fine, and let us know what site it is. We like to update these so that folks have the accurate information and what they're looking for. This is designed to be helpful. So if the pictures aren't helpful, you know, let us know so we can update them. Yeah, and I think they just provide more context clues. Oh, I hope other people are seeing my slides. I saw a comment that someone's not seeing my slides. We can email these out. The pictures are also just helpful too. Like for this one, N26, you see these trees in the background. You see that kind of what this bridge looks like versus other bridge. Just gives more context clues to help you find your sites. Okay, so we had 5 videos on our website that you have to watch before you go sampling on Friday or Saturday. Hopefully you watched them before tonight so that the information I'm about to give you makes sense. And if not, I hope you can piece it together. So on the sampling video, they talked about marking your bottle and writing down all this additional information. You don't need to do that. This is your bottle. It is labeled for you. It's ready to go. So you don't need to do anything extra for this bottle. Like I said, do not rinse your bottles. These have all been sanitized, and then these have the little special reagent inside. So you don't need to rinse your bottles. Just fill them up completely in the stream. The video also said to leave an inch because they were using way bigger bottles than ours, but we do need these to be completely full in order to have enough water for all the testing that we're doing. So please fill the bottle all the way up. For the turbidity or transparency measurement, we are doing the tube method. I believe that was the first method that they mentioned in the video. Our transparency tubes have a release valve at the bottom, so you don't need to like dump water out. You can just release water with the valve. They also did a conversion. We don't need to do a conversion. So on the side of your transparency tube, there'll be a scale from 0, which will be empty, to 120, which will be full. And so record whatever height, whatever that number is on the side, for your clarity measurement. So you fill the transparency tube all the way up and you look down and you see if you can see the target at the bottom. If your water is really clear, you will be able to, and then you would record 120 on your data sheet. If the water is not clear, you cannot see that target, you'll use your release valve at the bottom to let a little bit of water out until you can see that target. So let's say that was the case and you released it down and now you've let out 30 centimeters of water, you can finally see the target. You'd look at the side and then it would be at the number 90, and that'd be the number that you would write down. So whatever your value is fine, we just need to know. So no conversion, just write down what's on the side. And then for temperature, again, they talked about marking sites. You don't need to do that. We know exactly where these sites are. We've got our maps, we've got our GPS coordinates, so you don't need to mark it. You do not need to record air temperature either. We'll have all that data for everybody. And then you can take your temperature directly into the stream, but like they said, if it's really sunny and it's hard to see, you can use your sample bottle to collect water for your temperature reading. So just take it right away if you choose to do that. We used those videos because they are pretty good. They're right on the mark, but they were just these few little differences that we kind of wanted to go over with you today. We hope that all makes sense. And again, if you have any questions, the instructions are going to be on your clipboard and you can contact me at any time. Even while you're out in the field, I'll pick up my phone and let you know how to do something. Okay, now I'm going to take a breath and Amy is going to talk to you about our test strips.
Hello. So one of those videos you'll watch is how to use the test strips. They're very easy. Each type of test strip has its own wait time, so you'll dip it into either the stream directly or into your sample bottle. Follow the directions for that specific strip. So for example, on the phosphate strips, you hold it in the water for 5 seconds, and then you hold it out of the water in the air without shaking the water off for 45 seconds. So each type of test strip has their own wait time, and all the instructions are provided. They're very easy to follow. Shannon, can you go ahead one slide?
I can sure try.
There you go. So after you follow the wait time instructions, you'll hold the test strip up to the scales and you'll match it up to the color that matches your strip the closest. So you can see on the example here on phosphate, the color gradient goes from pink to gray, and a lot of times you'll get sort of an in-between color, maybe a grayish purple, maybe a purplish gray. You just have to use your best judgment, and we're going to trust your judgment on that. Figure out which is the closest value, which is the closest color, and write down that value on your log. Okay, you can go ahead. On the pH strips, there's a lot more options. There's a lot more color gradients. Unless there's something seriously wrong with the stream, you're really probably going to land somewhere between a pH of 6 or a pH of 8. So you're probably going to stick somewhere in that yellow-green range right in the middle, but you will have two different sort of gradients to compare against. Okay, go ahead. So overall, between the test strips and the sample and the temperature and the transparency tube, you guys are all collecting data on chemical properties, physical properties, and biological properties of the stream. And these all tell scientists and land managers different things about what's going on in the water quality. So with chemical properties, that's your pH strips, your nitrogen and phosphorus strips, and it's also the water sample you're collecting. That's going to be analyzed in the laboratory for nutrients. Those all can be influenced by things like fertilizer, livestock manure, sewage, rainwater runoff. All of that brings nutrients into the water and it changes the chemical properties in the stream. And that's important to look at because changes in nutrient levels or chemical properties like pH, it can lead to things like algal blooms. So imagine fertilizer in livestock that's often used to increase plant growth. If that goes into the streams, that's going to increase things like algal growth, and that can lead to algal blooms, eutrophication, those sort of problems. So that's sort of why we're looking at nutrients and pH. And then with the physical properties, those are measured with the transparency tube and the thermometer. Those can be influenced by stormwater runoff, algal growth, erosion, and then nearby land use. So you can imagine if there's a large parking lot, blacktop parking lot next to a stream, it gets really hot in the summertime. If we get a rain event and the rain runs over top of that black parking lot, it's going to heat up right before it goes into the stream. Similarly, if it's a stream that's running through an ag field versus a stream that's running through a shaded forest, that water temperature is going to be very different. So the land use around the water really impacts a lot of the physical properties of what's in the stream itself. And the clarity is a physical measurement because it's telling you how well light penetrates through the water. So that transparency tube, you're looking in the tube, you're looking for the bullseye and how shallow or deep the water can be before you can see the bullseye. That gives you an idea of how clear or transparent the water is. And that also tells you how well light penetrates the water and how well light can reach the plants or algae growing on the stream bed. Temperature impacts chemical and metabolic reactions. So a change in temperature, increase in temperature is going to increase the metabolic rate or chemical reactions for things going on in the stream, organisms in the stream, that sort of stuff. So that's why temperature is important. That's why transparency is important. And then the biological properties you're looking at are really the E. coli measurements that Shannon mentioned. And those aren't measurements that you're taking directly. You're just taking the sample and that will be analyzed in the lab. And then the laboratory will send us the results for the E. coli measurement. E. coli is impacted by livestock manure, sewage from things like combined sewer overflow, which we have here in Lafayette and West Lafayette. And then also pet waste that's left on the ground can have an impact on E. coli measurements in the stream. And this sort of thing is, it's important to look at because of outdoor recreational purposes. So we want the Wabash and the streams around the Wabash to be used for outdoor recreation. We want to be able to appreciate these waters and these natural resources. But if they're listed for high E. coli measurements, that's going to be a hazard for boating. It's going to be a hazard for swimming or fishing. So we want to sort of keep track of that E. coli for those purposes. Okay, next slide. So this is a map of sort of what we'll see once all of the measurements are done, once all of the lab analyses are done, we get all the data back. We transform it into a map of our entire watershed. So each of the little dots is a sampling site, and then sort of the outlines that you see that are different colors, those are sub-watershed, so it's a drainage basin for that specific stream at that site that you sampled. So this is a map of the temperature results, and you can see the color should be pretty obvious. Red is warmer, blue is the coldest, green's in the middle. So most of the watersheds sort of in that middle range of fair temperatures. And then there's a couple really warm watersheds in there. You can imagine those might be ag fields, something with not a lot of shade where the water's a lot warmer. So all of these maps will be available on our website as soon as we get all the results, and as soon as the lab sends us all the data, we'll transform it into maps, and you'll be able to see the sites that you sampled and how they match up against all the other sites. Okay.
Oh, okay. I want to stay here for just a second. Thank you, Amy, for all of that. I also want to point out that we have 10 years of water quality data already on our website. So we do this event twice each year, once in the spring and once in the fall. And we've been, like I said, we've been doing this for 10 years. So please check out the maps that we already have, see how water quality has been doing over time, and be really excited that you're a part of a very long-term citizen science event so that we can really understand the health of our watershed. I also just really appreciated Amy talking about those physical, biological, and chemical properties, and hope you can understand how looking at all of them, you look at one and that tells you something, but when you put it all together, we're able to tell a story. We're able to better assess the health of our streams by looking at all of those. And you can think about how everything Amy said about how that influences life in the stream. So there's fish that can't live in these really hot streams because it's just too much stress for them, right? And same for if it's too cold. A lot of us, right, we have ranges of things that we like, and there's pollution that we can tolerate and pollution that we can't. So we learn a lot about the life in these streams by looking at all these different factors together. And also on the E. coli note, we're going to have hand sanitizers out at the pickup locations. So feel free to use those when you pick up your supplies after you get your ice pack in from the cooler or when you drop things off. And so as Amy said, E. coli is out there, COVID's out there too, but the E. coli is a good reason to remember to use hand sanitizer while you're doing this event. So keep your hands clean from other stuff while you're out there. And I'm going to go to my last slide, but I wanted to kind of give you one more overview before we close out to paint the whole picture of how this event is going to go. So you've gotten emails from me, you watched these videos, you watched this training, and then you're going to show up at your on your assigned day. I will say we are setting out all the supplies in the morning. So if you've said that you're coming in the afternoon, but you actually schedule's changed, you want to come in the morning, that's fine. Feel free to show up anytime between 9 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. To pick up your supplies and go sampling. We just need everything back by 5 p.m. so we can get all the samples to the lab in time. So you are going to show up on your day at your staging location. You're going to pick up your blue bag and your waders, your transparency tube. You're going to grab that ice pack and you're going to put it in your blue bag. And then you're going to fill out your data sheet at the top. Tell us your name, your start mileage, your start time. And then you're going to start navigating your first stream. At each stream, you're going to measure temperature and transparency of the water. You're going to put that information on your data sheet. You're going to fill up your nutrient bottle, following the directions in the video. And then you're going to take that bottle. They all have, all your bottles are going to be in a Ziploc bag. You're going to fill your sample bottle and put it into your Ziploc bag. You are going to use your test strips to either test the water you put in your bottle, or you can test directly into the stream. Doesn't matter, whatever is easiest for you out there, but make sure you do your test strips before you leave the site. Once you have all that information collected, then you're going to travel to your next site. And then you want to make sure you don't forget to do E. coli at your designated E. coli site. Then once you've done all your sampling sites, then you are going to return to the staging location and drop off all of your supplies. We will send your returned sample bottles. These will be filled at the end of the day, right? We're going to send those to Purdue University where they will be tested further. So you're doing the test strips, you're looking at some parameters, and then we send it to the lab and they do a more refined test for nitrogen and for phosphorus. So if you noticed on those test strips, kind of gives us like a broad range, and that's awesome. We learn a lot from that, but then we send it to the lab for more detailed analysis as well as E. coli testing. So that's why you're testing in the field, you're getting an idea of what your stream looks like. We're getting, immediate data, but then we send it to the lab for more refined information. And then, hopefully you had a blast and you learned a lot in the process.